Welcome back to the channel, my YouTube family, my G4 family, and we're back with more Insurgency Sandstorm. And a very, very important video today. We are going to talk about how to improve your accuracy. It's one of those things in any shooter game that everybody struggles with to get your accuracy and your aim on point. And today I'm going to go through and give you a whole heap of tips to help you improve in that area. Should be good. Let's do it! Accuracy with your aim is one of those things in any shooter game. As I said in the intro, it doesn't matter whether it's Call of Duty, Battlefield, Ghost Recon, Division, whatever you play, even Fallout. Aiming accuracy is one of those things that is absolutely key to get right, and it's no different in Insurgency Sandstorm. There's so many things that you're going to have to consider, and we're going to go through them one by one today, and hopefully it will help you improve your aim. A lot of what the adjustments that I've made since I started playing the game, and I'm now about 17 hours in, and my accuracy has moved from something like 16% to around 24% and continues to improve. So the tweaks that I've made are working, and I want to share those with you so that you get those improvements to your own game. And so let's get into the tips, and you can start putting them into your own game, and let's see what happens. One of the big things, and I think the starting point, is finding the right weapon when you're starting out. Now, we are starting to roll out some gun guides for you, but I want to go into a little bit of depth of what it is about the weapons in this game and what you should be looking for. And this is really about beginners and when you're first starting the game and getting confident with the right weapon. And finding the right weapon is very key to helping improve your accuracy, but just getting you used to the game in general. And we're going to go over to the range now, and I'm going to talk you through quite a bit detail how to choose the right weapon. So the thing in Insurgency Sandstorm that I have realised is finding the right weapon is easy for you to say, but actually finding the one that suits you is a little bit more complicated. So there are so many weapons in this game. So many weapons and so many good weapons in this game. And it really comes down to the one that, the personal preference and the one that suits your play style and the one that you can handle. So the reason we've starting to run out weapons guides is to give you some guns to consider. But at the end of the day, it really is a personal preference and how what weapon actually fits what you want to do. So my biggest tip when you're looking through all of these weapons is to find one with a low horizontal recoil profile. So we're going to go through and possibly pick the AUG, we haven't looked at that gun yet. So here is the AUG, and let's just have a wee look at the stats that this thing has. Now, you will notice then on that right hand corner the AUG A3, and it's got a whole lot of stats there. What you want to pay close attention to is the horizontal and vertical recoil. Now, one of the things that you're going to realise in any shooter, doesn't just mean Insurgency Sandstorm, vertical recoil is a lot easier to handle than horizontal recoil. So vertical recoil is basically the recoil that goes straight up. So let's go and find the wall downstairs, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if I shoot this gun, you can see it virtually goes straight up. So that's pretty easy to manage. If it was going side to side, then yeah, that is a whole different story. So we will choose a gun that has quite a lot of horizontal recoil and show you the difference. So here we are with the FAL. The FAL, let's just have a look at the stats on it. And you'll see the FAL, in comparison to the gun we just shot, the AUG, has a heck of a lot more horizontal recoil. You can see it's 26, and I think the AUG was 7, which is, yeah, which is quite a difference. And so let's see what that looks like when we fire it. You can see that does bounce. That does bounce across. It's very subtle. This almost looks as if it's going straight up, but you can sort of see it is kicking to the left a little, and it's not going straight up. So finding a weapon with less horizontal recoil is the way to go. So we're going to go back to the AUG now, and then we'll stay with the FAL. And I want to show you, when you do your loadout, how you can combat that horizontal recoil. So let's get into some of the attachments. And first of all, the barrel attachment. And you can see with the compensator, attaches to the end of the barrel to redirect propellant gas and reduce horizontal recoil. And you'll see once I select this, it has significantly reduced the amount of horizontal recoil. And therefore it will make the gun a heck of a lot more manageable when it comes to that kind of recoil. Now, it's not to say that you don't have to manage vertical recoil as well. So the one thing that you can do when you're starting off is to put on an under barrel that will give you some recoil control, and that's the recoil grip. This takes care of your vertical recoil, and that's reduced it a fair bit. And then now you're super accurate. Based on where we started, our stats have come down quite a fair way. So my suggestion though is to start with a gun that is a little bit more forgiving, something like the AUG, which is a lot more forgiving, and then you know, you can add these two attachments and it's going to make a huge difference to your accuracy. So let's look at something with a higher fire rate. This is the P90, a lovely gun, but you can see there the fire rate has gone from the AUG at 600 to a fire rate at 857. Now, the higher the fire rate, in most cases, the higher the recoil, and you can see we've got significantly higher horizontal and vertical recoil on this gun. It's in single fire mode for some reason, so let's change that. There we go, we're in full auto. But with the P90 is quite a different monster. It has quite manageable recoil, but it bounces all over the place. So again, adding those attachments will help a lot. And you can see by the footage that is tightened, even though that's still a very high vertical and horizontal recoil. That's tightened up the spread of fire a lot. Now we're going to move on to the fire rates, and then we're going to talk a little bit about things you can do with your controller to help combat the recoil. Okay, so we're back with the AUG A3, and I've chucked a sight on it. I haven't done anything else to this gun apart from chuck a sight on it, and we have the compensator and recoil grip on it. So you will notice if you flick up on your D-pad, there are two fire modes available. This will vary from gun to gun. Something like the M16, I think, has a single fire rate and a burst fire rate. Some guns have 3 fire rates, so it'll vary from gun to gun, but I just want to give you the kind of thinking behind the fire rate. So we're going to flick it onto full auto, and we're going to aim in with this sight, and we're just going to, and you can see it kicks. It hit the target, but it kicks up. So if I now flick it onto single fire rate, there you go. I can spam that, but it's not moving nearly as far. And again, this will help with your accuracy, especially at range. We go, we're at bullets. So the fire rate's incredibly important in getting your accuracy. Now, one of the things that you can do with the full auto is actually is to modulate your firing, and we're going to try and do a wee experiment here where I'm going to show you what my hands are actually doing as I'm kind of almost burst firing a full auto gun. And again, this is really down to your skill and how quickly you can do it in your controller, but it will keep the recoil in a check if you use this technique. Now you can see by this footage there's a couple things going on. I'm burst firing, so I'm almost burst firing, or what I'll call feathering with the trigger, but at the same time I'm slightly pulling down on the right stick. If you watch very carefully, just slightly backwards to pull the recoil into line. And yeah, this method on full auto will help you no end. So we're going to run upstairs now, and I'm going to show you how to use the focus mode in the game, because this is one that I kind of ignore a little bit, and it is a very powerful thing to help with your aim and your recoil control. And we're going to try and do some magic with the controller again to show you exactly how this works. I'm assuming if you're on, a lot of you are using controllers. If you're using a PC, obviously this is going to be completely different. So the first thing you're going to notice when we are aiming down sight is there is what we call idle sway. You can see the movement in the controller there. Now to activate focus, you push in on your right bumper, and so there is a technique to this which I'm about to show you with my hands on how this actually works, and we'll try and marry it up with the footage on screen, hopefully, fingers crossed. So this one takes a bit of getting used to, because as you can see I'm firing single fire, and you actually have to move your firing finger up to your right bumper to get this to work. So you have to get used to shifting your fingers up when you want to use focus. So push that up, and yeah, and focus is enabled. And this is the best way that I've found, just sliding your trigger finger up and using your next finger down to fire. And that's how to use focus, a very powerful mode in the game. It just eliminates that idle sway in your reticle, and it's like holding your breath if you've sniped before, exactly the same. Now the last thing I'm going to give you advice on today, just to improve your aim, is to play around with your settings. Now I have already done a separate video on this, so I'm not going to dwell on this, but certainly have your focus sensitivity fairly low, and play around with your aim down sight sensitivity as well. I like to have my X and Y sensitivities. I like to have my X sensitivity a little bit higher than my Y. That's a personal preference. A lot of people do play with those the same, but go and watch that optimize your settings video, and it will explain it in a lot more detail, what these all do and why I think they're important. But you certainly need to go in and tweak these to your own personal preference to help with your aim. So there you go guys, that's the tips I've got for helping to improve the accuracy and improve your aim and make you go on those long kill streaks. Now I was going to do reticles in this video, but I've decided I will do a separate video on different optics and reticles and all that kind of good stuff, because I don't think that necessarily will help you at this point. I think you have to implement what we've discussed in the video today first, and then we'll move on to reticles probably in the next video, or on a video very soon. If it's been useful, a like rating's always appreciated. I'd love to hear any of your tips or tricks or anything that you might do in game that also helps to improve your aim and manage that recoil effectively. Thanks for watching. If you're watching us for the first time, have a look around the channel, and if you want to keep up to date with all these beginners tips for Insurgency Sandstorm, consider subscribing, and we'll catch you next time on Gaming for XP. See ya.